While we patiently, or maybe not so patiently, await the Lies of P DLC, it might be easy to overlook the Lies of P sequel that was announced at the same time. After all, it's likely years off from release, and as little information as we've received about the DLC, we understandably have even less on the sequel. Based on the end credits scene reveal of Dorothy, many, myself included, have speculated that the sequel may be focused on the Wizard of Oz. And that's about it for what the devs have given us directly. That may not necessarily be for the sequel. However, we do have another source we can scavenge information from. NeoWiz's job listings. Around the time the sequel was announced in a director's letter last November, a number of job openings popped up on NeoWiz's website, a variety of positions specifically for the Lies of P sequel. The job descriptions for these openings hold a plethora of information about what we can expect from the sequel. There's the mundane and expected, such as the game is, of course, going to be a Souls-like, like its predecessor. However, they also hint at some major changes coming in the next game. At least 2 job listings, one for a balance planner and one for a player character battle planner, are looking for experience in PvP combat and system design. There was no PvP in the first game, but it looks like that's going to be changing in the sequel. Will there be invasions like Elden Ring? Will there be designated coliseums? Or maybe something else entirely? I'm personally excited for this, but PvP, and particularly invasions, has historically been one of the more polarizing aspects of Soulsborne and Souls-like games. I'm curious to know what people think about PvP being included and what they want to see from it. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. The yin to PvP's yang also appears to be on the way, according to the Content Planner job opening. There was no co-op or player summoning in the first game either, so we don't have much of a clue what it'll look like. Could there be seamless co-op? Or maybe summoning at Kreck's Calling will now have the chance of giving you another player instead of a Spectre. If the game is indeed based on the Wizard of Oz, it might be neat if there's some sort of party co-op where each player takes the role of either Dorothy, the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, or the Cowardly Lion. Multiplayer could extend into what was a pretty big curveball mention for me: Minigames. The field level designer job listing is looking for someone with experience developing various minigames in the field level. It seems like they intend to work in some in-game minigames, which wasn't something I previously knew I wanted. Honestly, the sky is the limit for what this could entail, so I'm excited to see what they come up with. Every one of the job listings for this project mention it will be built on Unreal Engine 5, and that's pretty exciting. This team has built a beautiful game in Lies of P on Unreal Engine 4, so I'm anxious to see what they can do with such a significant engine upgrade. This could be a more controversial change, but it definitely seems like they plan on opening the world up a bit compared to the very linear first game. The field level designer job listing is looking for someone with experience in open world games. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean they're planning on going full open world like Elden Ring. It could be more of a middle ground like, say, the Dark Souls games. I did take a community poll on whether people would like a more open world, and even though 183 participants is a little low to make a meaningful conclusion on, the vote was skewed heavily against a fully open world, although most voters did seem to be in favor of opening it up a bit more. The wording in the field level designer job duties make it seem like right now, they might be planning on having a large open field that acts as a hub and needs to be traversed to get to dungeons. If you have a strong opinion one way or another on this, I'd be interested in hearing about it in the comments. I'm trying not to overreact to this, but the dungeon level designer job is looking for experience in creating instance dungeons. Generally, specifying a dungeon as an instance dungeon is reserved for MMOs because it doesn't make a lot of sense outside of that context. Round 8 Studio does have previous MMO experience in Bless Unleashed, take that however you want, and the Content Planner job does mention creating content that creates community among users under the line about having experience in developing multiplayer elements. Minigames, PvP, and open field hub that leads to instance dungeons? Hold up. Is the Lies of P sequel going to be a Souls-like MMORPG? At a high level, it does seem to be a very safe bet that the studio plans on implementing online play in some form and increasing the scope of the next game. However, it is very important to keep in mind that these changes are far from guaranteed at this point. So much could happen between now and the release. The studio may not be able to find a suitable candidate to help implement these plans, or they may realize down the road in development that something may be more trouble than it's worth and scrap it. While we can take these job listings as clues for where Round 8 and NeoWiz are planning to head with the series, they should also be taken with a grain of salt.